Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of A Moment of Honor with the Sanctuarian. Today, I am so excited to have Deb McGregor of Life Full of Joy here with us. Welcome, Deb. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. It feels weird being on this side of
I know you're usually the interviewer. Yay, we're switching it up a little bit.
We are.
So one of the things that I really want to dive into, Deb, is 2021 has really been kind of a massive year for you. So tell a little bit of that to our viewers. Like, what's been going on this last year for you?
Well, the obvious, of course, is that a lot of us had changes in how we were bringing our good work into the world. And let's call it the pre-COVID timeframe, a lot of what I was doing was working with people around joy, but a lot of that was in person. Some of it was obvious online, but all of a sudden it's this huge transition to online. What I found is that I actually had this new spark in creativity. And I was like, you know what? I need to really amp up the joy factor. And one of the things that I realized throughout the pandemic is that when people lead with joy, it's just better. And so one of the things that I worked really hard to do is bring trainings, educational things, videos to people that really helped them get in tune with their own joy and how they could lead with joy despite everything else that was going on. I was already doing a Live Joy, Share Joy radio program, but I amped that up even more and started adding some radio notes to that. One of the biggest things that was to me like was the start of the Joypreneur Program, which is when you are an entrepreneur of your life and you lead with joy, it's just better. So we actually launched the Joypreneur Program. And in addition to that, I put together things like an incredible The Joy of Advent program and this amazing program, 40 Days in the Desert, because a lot of the work that I do also has a spiritual component to it. But Joss, we cannot have this interview without talking about the launch of the Joy Coffee. Because one of my dreams was that, and I just realized I didn't grab my Joy Coffee. Are you kidding me? So one of the big things for me that was so exciting was I've had this dream of having this coffee blend, but calling it joy. And so I worked with the folks at Heroes Rise Coffee, and they developed this medium to dark roast, and we called it the Joy Blend. And of course, because when you fuel your life with coffee and joy, it's going to be even better. So that for me was sort of like like that just really gave us that ability to just shine even more. But I mean, there's been a lot going on, right? Like, and of course, you and I have had a lot of fun together, bringing joy to the world.
Absolutely. And you mentioned a little bit there and kind of how the pandemic and really kind of the last 20 months or so, everybody kind of had to transition and kind of rethink on how they're going to connect with people and continue to grow their business in a time where you don't have that in-person interaction anymore. And because I know you have experience speaking in front of rooms, you have leading workshops and things like that. And so being able to still have that experience, but in a virtual setting, I think you've done really well, because I love attending your things and just seeing your personality, because it's like, oh, I'm in a room again. I'm with somebody. Like, it's just so exciting and it's really energetic. And that's one of the things that I really wanted to touch on in our conversation today, because it is so energetic and it's so contagious. The good kind of contagious, everybody, not the bad kind. And so, and yes, I've been able to be on this journey with you and launching these various things. And so one of the things you mentioned was this Joypreneur Program. Can you explain a little bit about what really goes into that program?
Absolutely. So this creation of the Joypreneur Program, actually, it really was a collaborative effort. I had done the Produce You program with Rick Tamlin and Chuck Leoyle. And one of the things for me that was so important about that is really taking these ideas and getting them into a program. And then, of course, working with you on, how do we get this out there? What do these graphics look like? But through this creation, we came up with this concept of a 10-week experience that would help people work on whether the project was themselves or they actually had a project that they wanted to bring to fruition, and working around that with this concept of you are the entrepreneur of this. It's time to really take charge of it. And while we're doing it, we're going to lead with joy. And so we created this concept of 10 group sessions where we would all be meeting together and actually having topics. And those might be things like resiliency, or what holds you back, or moving the fear here, understanding a little bit about, why does the brain go to this when we want it to go here? Those type of topics were group related. And then in addition to that, I also had 6 one-on-one sessions with those who had chosen to participate. And of course, my favorite part was the joy mail. So one of the things that I think makes me very unique in the experiences that I do is that I include something called joy mail. So at the beginning of the program, participants get this joy mail that comes in, and there are tools that we will actually be using throughout the experience. But they don't just get one joy mail. I actually send different joy mails throughout the experience. So I'm just going to give you an example of one of the things that showed up in the joy mail with this last group was a set of drumsticks. Now you might be thinking, drumsticks, are you killing me? Yeah, I'm not killing you. I'm not killing you with drumsticks. Yes. But are you kidding me? Because people were like, why are you sending me these drumsticks? Well, because one of the things that I talk a lot about is finding joy in resiliency, finding joy in every beat. And so we actually use these to do, I won't do it on here because everybody's ears will go crazy, but that's an example of the type of surprises that you find in joy mail. But they always relate to the topics that we cover. And so it really is incredibly experiential. It's very creative. And it really gives our brain the opportunity to dig even deeper. And I use a lot of metaphoric concepts because I really believe that when we use metaphors, it links the right and left hemispheres of the brain. It's almost like lint for the brain. And so I'm able to incorporate that into the 10-week Joypreneur programs. So, I mean, you can probably tell from literally even the little pre-sessions we do to even post sessions, it's a pretty amazing experience. And I'm happy to report that everybody who was in my last session is already asking, when are you doing this again? Can we tell them that it will be March? So stay tuned for that, right? No sign of yet, but it'll be March.
You heard it here first, everybody.
That's right. You heard it from the Sanctuarian first.
Yes. Well, and I think it's great too because you kind of open up people's perception of what a virtual experience can be by having all of these different things and integrating it into the actual teaching pieces of it and keeping everything interactive, which makes people want to come back for more because they know they're going to get value and something out of it that they can take on, not just for a short term, but for a long term with their business. And so one of the other things you mentioned is this lovely coffee. So you actually have 2 different roasts out, correct?
I do. So we have the Joy blend, which I'm just like, okay, I can't believe it's a beautiful pink package and it's got joy on it. It's actually sold on Amazon. So you can, if you go to Amazon and type in Joy Coffee Heroes Rise, it will come right up. And it is an amazing, beautiful package. But there's also the Christmas Joy. And one of the things that was very important to me, you can find something that says holiday, which is fine, but there are a lot of people out there that still use the word Christmas. And so I said to Heroes Rise, can we do this Christmas Joy as well? So same thing, Christmas Joy. It's this beautiful blue packaging, starry nights all over. It's got the nativity scene. That is also sold on Amazon as well. So people can get this anywhere. It doesn't matter where you live. You can get it anywhere. And it's a medium to dark roast. It's a Colombian bean. It's fair trade, organic, single origin. Those are all big deals, what they call premium coffee. And so I feel like that's important. And by the way, when the bag comes, it smells amazing. It tastes amazing, but it smells amazing.
And I can attest to this because I have had the pleasure of opening the bag and getting the amazing scent from it. My family all loves it. So definitely. And I did share all of those links in the comments as well. So make sure you check those out. She also has a mug besides just the 2 coffee roasts. So check all of that out. And again, if you're local to the Bemidji area where she is, visit Heroes Rise Coffee. And you can actually get it right there in your hands. And so tell me a little bit about kind of what inspired you to kind of want to go into this joy movement space.
Yeah, this is such a great question because I think a lot of people meet me now and they just assume I've always had joy. And I would say as a kid, I definitely, kind of was that happy-go-lucky, joy-filled person. I had a very traumatic experience that happened to me when I was 17, and I really lost joy. In fact, I lost joy so far, I was like on the opposite extreme. And I'll be honest, there were days that I did not want to get out of bed, and it was a struggle to get out of bed. And at some point, I remember waking up one day and I was like, where's the joy? Like, what is happening? Where's the joy? And I actually got on this mission to start seeking joy, because I just thought this can't be all there is. It was like literally, you're sitting there in your life at, in your 30s and early 40s, you're thinking, is this all there is? And I know that I have all these years of my life I want to live, but I certainly don't want to live it, in my bed like this, peeking out of the covers, I want to live my life. And so I started getting on this journey to find more joy. And what I actually, oh my gosh, how I am a little bit. I was like, I talk to people that have joy, which I like do, read all these books that have joy. And what I realized is that it's really about an experience. Like I would have happy moments, but living joy was actually about a choice, and it was about bringing this experience to my life each and every day. And so once I started getting on that, it was like, okay, I'm starting to get this. And for me, my faith, my spirituality, that was a huge component of that. For me, I realized that looks different for a lot of people, but for me, that was a huge, that was the biggest factor for me. And now I'm like, okay, it's sort of like that. Once you find the joy, it's like, I got to share the joy, right?
Absolutely. You just got to let it out.
Well, I got the joy. That's what I feel like right now. It's like, how can I keep this to myself? Because why wouldn't we want people to experience this joy? Like if you're watching right now and you're thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I need a little tiny piece of that. It's like everyone deserves to have joy. It's your birthright. And I do believe that everyone deserves to have joy. And so that is also a big thing for me, is I don't want anyone to have that under the cover feel. Joss, it was a horrible, horrible time. I learned a lot and I've grown so much, but going through that time, it was a huge, huge struggle.
Well, and I think that really helps you kind of relate to those clients that you're working with, whether they are in more of the entrepreneurial business side, or if they're just hiring you more on the life side. Like, how do I get this joy in my life? Like, this is something that I need. And I think you can really relate to either, because you've had different experiences. Now, they may have not had similar ones or the same one, but they can relate to that kind of feeling. And so I think that really kind of gives you a little bit more of that step up when you're working with clients, because you're giving them something a little bit different than they would get from another coach. So
yes. And I think for some people, it's that they maybe never found joy. For others, it's a matter of reclaiming the joy, because sometimes we start going through life and we get in these, it's like this EKG machine of life. And it's more about reclaiming it. It's not necessarily about finding, it's about, I need to reclaim this piece of me. Yes. And as women and men, we all go through different journeys, and it is easy to lose the joy. One of my goals is to not only help people reclaim it or find it, but then how do we get enough tools and systems in place for you to make sure that you don't lose it ever again? And that's just a constant in your life. And if you do feel like you have that little dip, it's like, whoop, no, I got my joy factor right back up again, because I have a tool in place. I have something that I can put into place and use right away.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so earlier you mentioned a little bit about your Live Joy, Share Joy radio show. So tell our listeners here a little bit about the radio show, kind of what brought that to life, and some of the good news that's come out of 2021 for that.
Yeah. So Live Joy, Share Joy actually was this idea I had about 6 or 7 years ago. I really wanted to interview people that have joy in their lives, and how do they have that joy? And really, a lot of it's also about how the Lord is working in people's lives. And one of the things that it didn't really work out for a couple of years, but all of a sudden I get this call from the radio station, and they're like, that idea that you had about joy? And I'm like, yes, we want to come and talk to you. They actually put me on the air without ever even having heard me do a mock show for them. They just trusted that we knew that it could happen. So each week I bring on a different guest to talk about that. The big news of 2021 is that the show is now nationally syndicated, which means that stations that choose to pick it up, depending on where you live, your station may actually be picking it up already, but they have an opportunity to sign up for it. It doesn't cost them anything to sign up for it. And it's been fantastic. So now we've got stations all over doing doing it. And of course, we also put it up as a podcast. So even if your radio station doesn't get it, you can either live stream it or grab the podcast afterwards.
That's amazing. And I think another thing that speaks to this is just really there's things that you can put out, and everyone has like a different view on kind of success. And what I like is that you, as soon as you put your mind to something, you say, okay, all right, Jocelyn, where we got to go with this? And we start laying out that strategy. And the one thing is, I know, okay, as soon as we lay out the strategy, a day later, I'm going to have the stuff hit in the email, which is fantastic. So I think that's one of the things that I really respect and admire about you, is that as soon as you put your mind to something, you're going to make it happen, because it's something you really want to do and that you really want to share with the world. And it's going to come alive because you're giving the aliveness to it.
Thank you. And of course, you are just, I mean, you are in my corner, right? Like you and I working together. Hopefully everybody knows, Jocelyn does the graphics. She helps write some of the content for things that we put out and make sure that it gets scheduled. I mean, I would be lost without you, really. And one of the things that I appreciate so much is the feedback that you're able to give me, because it's sort of, am I on the right track, or does this feel a little bit out there? And I appreciate you saying this, because one of the things that I tell clients with whom I work is, if you're passionate about something and you want to make it happen, where I can come in and help is, okay, let's make sure we have the strategy to get it to completion. Mm-hmm. Because sometimes what happens is people have all these amazing ideas. It's okay, how do I bring it to fruition? How do I actually make it happen? I was gifted with this very unique, it's even in my Strengths Finder, strategic is actually my number one theme of talent. But I also have things like the woo, but I also have things that give the creativity out there. Mm-hmm. And so that's a very unique, a lot of times people are creative if they don't have the strategy. God has just gifted me with this. And so I love working with people who say, I've got all these ideas, I want to bring this to fruition. How do I get there? And I'm able to say, okay, let's talk this through, step, check in here, celebrate here, check, yes. And it's fantastic to see what people are doing. Joss, I'm going to be completely honest with you. As much as I can get excited about the work I'm doing, I actually get more excited when I'm working with someone and I see them doing something. I don't know what that's all about, but it actually brings me even more joy when I see them doing that, because I just see their good work is getting out there. More people are getting impacted. So it's almost like this little chain. It's like when you see those chains on a Christmas tree wrapped around. That's what it feels like. And we just all start weaving these patterns together. And that's what makes the world go around, right? When we're all bringing our good work to the world. And why would we want anybody to not be doing that? So that just totally lights me up. You probably could tell I like to light up with joy.
Yes. It's very on brand, Deb. And so if someone wants to work with you, are you working with them virtually? How can they connect with you?
Yeah. So right now I am just doing virtual appointments, which, as we can tell, is obviously incredibly, it's so easy right now to be doing the Zoom. They've made it so easy for us. And so what I would encourage people to do is reach out to me, Deb at lifefullofjoy.com. You can also go to my website, and you can actually get there two ways. One is debmcgregor.com or lifefullofjoy.com. Both of those will actually get you to my site. And there's a little button that you can click on to actually schedule time with me. I do offer a 30-minute complimentary consultation. I call it a joy call. And which, let's just say, some people might misinterpret what that's about. We're talking a coaching call, and it's an opportunity for us to talk about what joy looks like in your life, what reclaiming joy may look like, or finding joy may look like. Or maybe you've got a project that you've been working on that you're like, I'd like to bring a little more joy factor into this project. We can take that 30 minutes to really look at where you're at, what some of your goals are, and how might I be able to work with you in that process. That's probably the easiest way, but there's other ways too. Can we just use the word test me out to see if maybe I'm somebody you want to work with? Should we talk about the 3 keys to spiritual fitness? Because that might be a good chance. Okay.
Great little segue. That's
I know. I was like, "Ooh, that was a nice little segue. Good job, Joss."
You read my mind.
Yeah, woo-woo. So I'm doing 3 keys to spiritual fitness, and this is going to be live. There's actually 2 ways you can do this. One is going to be live, watching it via like Facebook, but I actually am going to do something new. I'm going to give you an opportunity to join me in a Zoom room, which will actually be getting shared live. So the benefit is you're actually interacting with me in the Zoom room, but it will be shared live. And I'm doing that December 28th, 29th, and 30th at noon Central Time. I am inviting you to register. I know Joss is putting that in the chat for you. It's free to attend. The reason I'm inviting you to register is because I have these downloadable things that they're tools that will go with what we're covering in the 3 keys to spiritual fitness. So each day I will cover a different key. I'm not going to tell you too much about that because I want you to be surprised. Because if I tell you too much, it's like, no, I like people to get surprises in a positive way. But I really want you to register so I can mail you. And those will actually be mailed out 24 hours before the 28th. So try to make sure you register before then. So what I love is that if you're in that Zoom room, we can actually be interacting. The live, it's hard, right? Because we can't interact in the way that we're interacting right now. So I am super excited to be doing this. This is actually the first time I'm doing the Zoom to live, and I'm very, very excited about that. And I'm hoping that some folks will actually join right into the Zoom room. And the great thing about the 3 keys to spiritual fitness is this is going to help you really get in touch with recommitting to the spiritual fitness in your life. It's just as important as your physical fitness and your mental fitness, right? We want to really make sure that we've got a focus into our spiritual world as well. And so this will really give you some tools to hone in and focus on that. And of course, if you like what you hear, I am also going to be doing a 30 days to spiritual fitness in January. And I just want to say, I love doing these kind of programs. You come into these programs, again, you're going to get a special spiritual fitness, should we call it swag? And what's great about, I'm going to just give you a little bit of tiny thing. I've already ordered. These are amazing. You know, those little cinch sack things that you get that you wear kind of like a backpack. I actually have it. I have a scripture verse on the back, and it's going to be filled with all of the tools that people will be using for the 30 days to spiritual fitness program. There are 4 group sessions, and what's in that spiritual fitness bag, there will be items that you use for each week of this. And then in addition to that, I will have a private Facebook group as well as a daily text message for me that goes right to your phone. So it's going to be phenomenal. And Joss, that registration is actually already up on my website. I will do limited numbers for that just because when I'm doing those type of groups, I'm not looking for 100 people. I'm looking for a set group of people that really want to hone into their spiritual fitness in the month of January. Why wouldn't we want to start 2022 off with having amazing spiritual fitness? So please do not miss these opportunities. Like the feedback we get on them is so powerful, and they're very unique. Joss, I hope I'm getting across how unique these things are. They're just done very differently than a lot of people. And these things like light me up so much. And the people that participate are unbelievable. Just top-notch people just really striving to have stronger spiritual fitness in their lives. And the Advent programs, the Lent programs, have just been phenomenal. So don't miss out. Get registered now. But at a minimum, join me for 3 keys. I mean, that just costs you a little bit of time. And what you're going to get back from that is so much bigger than I can even explain to you in this little chit chat that we're having. Can we call this a chit chat?
Yes.
We're having girl chat. Yeah, we're having girl chat. Well, where's our glass of wine, for goodness sakes, or our cocktail? I'm just kidding. I got water. I have water.
No, and what I love about the 3 Keys event that you have coming up in just little over a week now is that those who do register and are able to join you in the Zoom room, they're going to be able to join in the conversation. Where those who are viewing on Facebook, you may get to comment and things, but it's a little bit different experience. So I definitely highly recommend if you want to be a part of this event. Again, it's a 3-day virtual live stream event. So make sure you register. All of the links are in the comments below. And then again, that 30 days spiritual fitness, starting off your year right. Who doesn't want a little structure in the new year?
I mean, yes. And I just want to add too, especially as we're coming out of this COVID, I think this is more important now than ever, because I think people are really trying to find a new grounding. I just had this conversation with someone today. There's like a new grounding that's going on. And when we are spiritually grounded, everything actually comes from that. It's sort of like the what comes first, the chicken or the egg. I have a firm belief that when we are spiritually grounded, everything comes from that. So why not start the year out that way? I just think it's going to be so powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, do you have any last minute wisdom tips for
Well,
our listeners today?
Well, one thing I realized that I should mention, I wrote this down. Some people are already looking for joy, like they want it right now. And I do every Friday, I do a joy text out to people. And I'm just going to give you, all you have to do is text the word joy, Joy, text it to 218-248-6556. And every Friday at about 10:28 Central Time, you will get, it's a joy text, and it's just a message of joy from me. That's it. That's it. That's all you, it's people love it. And I get comments all the time like, this totally makes my week. Like, it's like, I look forward to that. The other piece that I just really want to, first of all, Joss, you bring so much joy to my life. Thank you so much for allowing me to be with you today. And I mean, JJ, Joss, Joy, Joss. I mean, right? It's all good. And it just brings so much joy to my life. And I just want to remind you, if you're watching right now, that joy matters. You matter. And if you're finding right now that maybe you just need to reclaim the joy a little bit, please reach out. Get a 30-minute scheduled with me. The other thing is that if you've never really known what joy is, my goodness, please, let's get started. The other piece of this is, if you're out there and you're just like, you're doing these projects, but you just feel like blah, 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 kind of like that Peanuts thing, you know, reach out. Because if you can lead with joy in what you're doing, and you can bring a little more fun to what you're doing, it will make all the difference in the world. It doesn't, like when I get up in the day, I'm just like, I just can't even wait to get going. It's like, there's so much going on. Like, I can't wait to get started. And I want that for you too. I want joy in your life, and I want this for you. It's just, I don't know how to explain. It's almost like this compelling, like, you know what I mean? Like, I want to birth that out to people. So, and I just want to remind you of how much you matter and that you are loved. And I think that is also, Joss, a really important message people need to hear, is that they want to be heard. They want to be acknowledged. We need to be loved. And I just think it's important for people to hear that right now. And so that's just a reminder from me that you matter. And Joss, that you matter. Don't you dare go anywhere. I need you always.
I'm not going anywhere.
Oh, good. Although I have to admit, I've been loving these little ballroom things that you've been putting up for your, oh my gosh.
Well, thank you. Yes, another life.
Yeah, it's like in another life.
Yes, absolutely. Well, again, I want to thank you so much for joining me today, Deb, and just taking the time out of your busy schedule. I know you have a lot of working things coming up. And again, I hope that those that are listening really do take advantage of a lot of the great offers that she gave today, whether it's just clicking follow on her social media so you can keep getting a little taste of joy, but also looking into the 3 keys of spiritual fitness, and then her 30 days of spiritual fitness in the new year. Again, I want to wish everyone a very happy and merry holiday, and we will see you in the new year.
Thanks, Joss.
Thanks for joining.